Hello everyone, welcome back to Untitled Crochet. So in today's video I'm going to be demonstrating the waffle stitch. I have made a scarf using the waffle stitch, and yeah, I love the texture of it. You know, it's just nice and thick, and I think it's really warm. I know it's starting to warm up in various places in the US, but I still don't think the cold is completely gone yet. So I think scarves are still very much in and acceptable, and also I know a lot of women, you know, who like to wear scarves all year round anyway. So yeah, I'm gonna make another scarf tutorial today. The thing I like about this waffle stitch is that I've seen waffles patterns where, you know, you have the typical waffle look on one side, and then when you flip it over, it's just kind of flat. But you notice, here's the, you know, the regular waffle stitch, and then when I flip it over, it has its own pattern as well. The lines are, it's kind of like more gridded, if you will, but the point is it's not just completely like flat. So I like this because there's basically one pattern on one side and then another pattern on the other side. So let's get to this tutorial. Things you will need include a darning or weaving needle, a pair of scissors, a crochet hook, this is size J that I'll be using today, and then some medium 4 yarn. Okay. So I've mentioned in past tutorials that you'll get a skein of yarn and you'll see a tail, and you won't necessarily know if it's the right tail. You assume because it's coming from the center that it's the one that pulls the yarn from the skein in the center, which means your skein won't roll around, but not always. And so when I saw that this skein had two tails coming out, I was like, this is the perfect opportunity to demonstrate what I was talking about. So you'll notice that there's this little tail and then there's this longer tail, and you might think that this is the correct one. So let's pull on it. That's the only way to tell, and see what happens. Okay, now I'm going to turn it around and look what's happening over here as I pull on that. So it's not the right one. So what I would do is I would pull here to get it out of there, and then just kind of wrap it around on the outside like that. And now I'll go back to this side, and now I know I have the side that I want, where I can just pull and the skein pretty much stays stationary. Alright, we will start out by making a slip knot. Insert your hook and tighten. Now we're going to chain out 23 chain stitches. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 1, 2, and 3. Okay, so that is 23 chain stitches. This is how wide your scarf will be. I should also mention that you could use the same stitch to make a pot holder, you know. It's a nice width. So instead of making it of a rectangular shape so that it becomes a scarf, you can stop well in advance, make it more square, and use it as a pot holder. Okay. The texture is so nice with this waffle stitch that I think it makes a great pot holder. Alright, so let's continue. So now that we've crocheted our 23 double crochets, we are going to put one double crochet into the third chain from the hook. So there's the hook. This is the last chain we made right there. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so this right here is the third chain from the hook. This is the first chain from the hook. That's the second chain from the hook, and this is the third chain from the hook. So yarn over, because we're making a double crochet. We're going to go into that third chain from the hook. Yarn over, pull through, yarn over, go through 2, yarn over, go through 2. Okay, so now that we have put our first double crochet into the third chain from the hook, we are going to place 1 double crochet into each chain across. So yarn over, and we're going to go into that very next chain. Well, this double crochet is in that chain, so that means that the next chain is right here. So we'll insert our hook in there, yarn over, pull through to the front, yarn over, go through 2, yarn over, go through 2. Okay, yarn over, go into the next chain, which is there. And you guys know, if you've seen my other videos, I usually like to, when I go into the chain, grab 2 loops, but I'm just going to do 1 today to keep it simple. Okay, so go into there. When I say 1, I see that how it's only 1. Usually I have 2, but 1 will suffice. I don't feel like fighting with these chain stitches, darn it. Okay, yarn over, and we're just going to continue doing this. Alright, I will meet you guys once I get to the end of this row. Okay, see you there. Okay, so this is what it will look like once you've put a double crochet into each chain stitch across. So that means that you should have crocheted 21 double crochets. When you count every double crochet that you actually made, you should have a total of 21. And this initial chain 3 that was created by putting your first double crochet into the third chain from the hook, this could count as the 22nd stitch. Okay, so a total of 22 stitches for this row, but in terms of the number of double crochets that you actually physically made with your crochet hook, you should have 21. Alright, let's move to row 2. So now we're supposed to chain 1 and turn our work like this. Okay, so, and yes, I did say chain 1. I know normally when you're making double crochets you chain 2 or chain 3, but the pattern only calls for you chaining 1. So now we're going to work 1 double crochet into the next stitch. So yarn over, this is the next stitch, okay? And we're just going to put a double crochet in there. This is how we're actually going to begin every row. We're going to turn our work, chain 1, and put a double crochet into that next stitch. And then the pattern will begin. So this is row 2. We're going to make row 3 next, and then we're going to alternate between row 2 and row 3 until we get to our desired length. Okay, so this is row 2. We chained 1, we put a double crochet into the next stitch, and now we begin our pattern. So the pattern is to work a front post double crochet into the next stitch. Now, yes, I know this is a channel for beginners, but I always encourage us to learn, right? And I like to push you guys every now and again. So what is a front post double crochet? Well, first of all, a front post entails you taking your crochet hook, coming from the front, going behind the stitch, back to the front, yarning over and pulling it back through the same way you came out. Okay, that is what a front post stitch is. It's that motion going from the front. This is how I remember front post. Okay, going from the front to the back behind the stitch and back out to the front on the other side of the stitch. Okay, that's the motion. So now it said front post double crochet, so that means that we're going to still be making a double crochet stitch, but we're going to be doing that front post action. So let's take this by steps. Whenever we make a double crochet, you know that you yarn over, okay? So you yarned over. Instead of going into the top of the stitch, this is when we start to do the front post part. So I take my crochet hook and I enter from the front to the back. Okay, see how it's like that? It's in the back. And I go behind that stitch to the front again, just on the other side of it. Now normally when you make a double crochet, so you yarn over, you go in the top of the stitch and then you yarn over again, right? So that's the point that we're currently at right now. The going in from the front, behind the stitch and back out to the front, that replaced the going simply into the top of the stitch. So as I just said, if we were in the top of the stitch, we would yarn over at this point. So because we are at that same point, we're going to yarn over. And now remember, we exit the same way we entered. So we carry that yarn that we put on the hook back out the same way. And voila, we have 3 loops on our crochet hook as you normally would when you're making a double crochet. You yarn over and you go through 2, 1, 2, and then you yarn over again and go through 2, 1, 2. Okay, and this is how you make a front post double crochet. It looks a little weird, right? But this front post action is what is causing or responsible. It's what's responsible for the texture of this pattern, okay, of the waffle stitch. Okay, so we've made our front post double crochet. Now we're going to put 1 double crochet into the next 2 stitches. So I didn't say we're putting 1 front post double crochet in the next 2 stitches. I said we're putting 1 double crochet in the next 2 stitches. So that means that we can go back to doing it how we normally do it, by going in the top of the stitch. So yarn over, because 1 double crochet into the next stitch. This is the next stitch, into the top of it. And now that we're in the top of it, we yarn over, pull through to the front, yarn over, go through 2, 1, 2, yarn over, go through 2, 1, 2. Alright, that's 1. And now yarn over, go into the next stitch and make another double crochet. Okay, so remember the pattern is 1 front post and then 2 double crochet, 1 in each of the next 2 stitches. So now it's time to repeat the pattern. So 1 front post double crochet into the next stitch, which is this one. So I yarn over, I go behind the stitch from the front and I bring it back out to the front after I've gone behind. I yarn over because I'm making the double crochet and I pull that back through the way I came in. Okay, now that I have my 3 loops, I yarn over and I go through 2, I yarn over and I go through 2. Now that I've made my front post double crochet, I have to do 1 double crochet into the next 2, which are these 2. So yarn over and just proceed as normal. Okay, give myself some slack and 2. Alright, repeat the pattern. Yarn over, 1 front post double crochet. So in from the front, behind the stitch, come out just on the other side, yarn over, pull that yarn through, back through the way you entered, so that you end up back on the front. And now you have 3 loops. Yarn over, go through 2, yarn over, go through 2. Okay? And then 2 double crochet. This part is really easy. 1, 2. So front post, and then 2 double crochet. 1, 2 front post double crochet, 2 double crochet, 1, 2. Okay. And I'm looking and I'm like, okay, I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 more stitches. So I know I'm getting close. So I know I have at least 3 more stitches where I can do another iteration of this pattern. So front post double crochet. Okay, done my front post, and now 2 double crochet. 1, 2. Okay, so now we're at the point where we have 2 stitches. We did front post and then 2, and then you see 2 stitches here. So now we're going to do a front post into the last double crochet that is a part of that row. And now we're going to just put a regular double crochet into this chain. Okay, this is the chain 3 or 2 that we made when we put our first double crochet into the 3rd chain from the hook. Hopefully that's not too confusing. Anyway, this is, those series of chains. So just find a nice sturdy spot to get your hook in there like that, and then put a double crochet in the top of it like that. Okay, so this is the first run through of row 2. Okay, so to recap, at the very beginning, after we turned our work, we chained 1, and then we put 1 double crochet into the next stitch, which is there. And remember, that's how we're going to start every row. You'll see that when I make row 3. Alright, and then the pattern began for this row, for row 2, which is 1 front post double crochet and then 2 double crochet. 1 front post double crochet and then 2 double crochet. You'll notice that the front post double crochets, they kind of protrude forward. Okay, 1 front post double crochet, whereas the regular double crochets kind of stay in the background. 2 double crochet, 1 front post, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, and then when we got to the point where there were 2 stitches left, then we put 1 front post double crochet to continue the pattern, and then we put 1 double crochet there into those chains. Okay, so now we move on to row 3. Chain 1 and turn our work. As I just told you and I said earlier, we're always going to start by chaining 1, turning your work, and putting 1 double crochet into that next stitch. That's going to begin every row before the pattern for that row starts. Okay, so this time we're going to start the pattern by putting 1 double crochet into the next stitch, and then doing 2 front post double crochets, 1 into the next 2 stitches. So 1 front post, 2 front post. And now you see how that looks? The next stitch right there was the front post of row 2, so that's why it's kind of hidden back there. So make sure you take the time to make sure you're crocheting the correct stitches. You're crocheting onto or using the correct stitches, because if you did that, you might think, oh, this right here is the next stitch, and then you would be skipping that stitch back there. But no, this is the next stitch. Alright, so let's make that second front post. So I'm going to go way back there. Hey guy, yeah, I see ya, you can't hide. And then we finish off our front post double crochet. So we did 1, 2, alright, repeat the pattern, 1 regular double crochet, and now get my yarn again, And now 2 front posts. So front post, double crochet, front post, double crochet. All right, 1 regular double crochet into the next stitch, and then 1 front post double crochet into the next one. That's 1, and then another front post double crochet into the next one. This will be 2. Once again, this is the next stitch is that one that's back there. If you keep your work like that, then you might miss it. So kind of stretch it out a little bit and say, oh, I see you back there. That's actually the next stitch. And this is the second front post double crochet. And I kind of like to stop and analyze my work to make sure that I'm keeping the pattern, because it should be 1 double crochet, 2 front post, 1 double crochet, 2 front posts, 1 double crochet, 2 front posts. Okay, we're going to continue this pattern all the way until we get to 2 stitches at the end. Front post, front post, double crochet, front post, front post, double crochet, front post, front post double crochet. Okay, and now I see I am at the spot where I have 2 stitches. So whenever you end with 2 front post double crochet before you get to the last 2 stitches, you just put 2 double crochet, 1 in each one, to finish off the row. So 1 regular double crochet, and then this is that chain 1. Just stick your hook in the center of the chain 1 like that, and then put your second double crochet. Okay, and as you see, the texture is being created. So to recap, row 3, we chained 1, turned our work, and put a double crochet, a regular double crochet, into the first stitch. Remember, that's the way that every row, regardless of whether or not it's row 2 or row 3, that's how each row will begin. The chain 1 and then the regular double crochet. Because this is row 3, we do a regular double crochet, which is why it's kind of sitting back there, followed by 2 front post double crochets, which is why they're protruding forward. And then we repeat that until we get 2 stitches at the end. So regular double crochet, 2 front posts, regular double crochet, 2 front posts, regular double crochet, 2 front posts, regular double crochet, 2 front post double crochet, regular double crochet, 2 front post double crochet. And now that we're at our last 2 stitches, because this is row 3, we just put 2 double crochet. Okay, I'm going to repeat this pattern one more time, and when I say pattern, I mean row 2, row 3. Okay, so you have a pattern within row 2 and a pattern within row 3, and then you have the pattern itself of alternating row 2 and row 3. Alright, so let's go back to row 2. Chain 1, turn our work, and put a double crochet, a regular double crochet, into the next stitch, just as before. Remember, I can't say it enough, that's how every row is going to begin. After that chain 1, you put a double crochet into the next stitch. Alright, now we begin the pattern. So this is row 2. If you forget, you can think about what you did in the previous row. Is this the one where I put 2 front posts together, or is this the one where I put 2 double crochet together? Well, you look at the previous row and you see, oh, this is the one where you did 2 front posts together. So that means that this next row, which is row 2 again, will be the one where you put 2 double crochet together. So that means that you have to start with the front post because it's always one type of stitch first, followed by 2 consecutive other type of stitch. So since this row started with 1 regular double crochet followed by 2 front posts, because I'm starting the pattern here, I know that this one is going to start with 1 front post double crochet followed by 2 regular double crochet. And once again, be sure to kind of stretch your work out just a little bit to make sure you're grabbing the right stitches. If you're keeping it really tight, you might miss that stitch back there and think that this is the next stitch, but it's not. That stitch back there is the next stitch. So now I can put 1 regular double crochet and then another regular double crochet. So the pattern is 1 front post, 2 double crochet. The next one is a front post because we repeat the pattern at this point. And then followed by 2 double crochet. One front post, followed by 2 double crochet. 1 in each of the next 2 stitches. By the way, in this pattern, we're only putting 1 stitch in each stitch. So when I say 2 double crochet or 2 front post double crochet, that just obviously means 1 stitch in each of the next 2. Okay? Alright, 1 front post. And then 2 regular double crochet. 1 front post. And then 2 double crochet. Sorry, you guys might hear sirens. It's the alert sirens, the test that's going on. So don't worry, we're not having a tornado or anything in the area. Okay, we still have several more stitches to go, so let's continue repeating the pattern. 1 front post, and then 2 double crochet. And as with every row, you're going to continue the pattern until you get down to 2 stitches here. So 1, 2, and that last stitch is basically just a chain 1. So because this is row 2 again, just think about it. It wouldn't make sense to make a regular double crochet there, right? Because then the pattern would be lost. So that should remind you that you need to do 1 front post double crochet here, so that you keep some semblance of the pattern. And then since you only have 1 more stitch, just chain 1, right there, then 1 regular double crochet there. Alright, so it is time to do row 3 again. And before we turn, I think it's a good idea to remember that for this row you did consecutive double crochets. So that means during the next row we're going to do consecutive front posts. And so remember that when the pattern begins, you always do 1 of 1 stitch and then the consecutive 2 of the other stitch. So since this row was front post 2 consecutive double crochets, that means that the pattern of the next row, row 3, will be 1 double crochet, 2 front posts. So just keep that in your head. So we'll chain 1, turn our work, and then remember we always put a double crochet into that very first stitch. So this one right there, just in case that wasn't clear earlier. Okay, and now here begins our pattern. So we decided that since we're doing 2 front post double crochets, those are the consecutive ones, then we have to do a regular double crochet first because it's 1, 2, 1, 2. So 1 double crochet, and now we can begin our 2 front posts. So 1 front post double crochet, and then 2 front post double crochet. Once again, I'm going to mention this one last time. Make sure you kind of stretch your work so that you're going into the correct stitch. It could look like this is the next stitch, but if you stretch your work, you see that stitch back there, the front post in the previous row, that's the next stitch. And that is where we're going to put our front post double crochet. So from the front, behind the stitch, back up to the front, yarn over and pull back through the way you entered, and then double crochet. Okay, so we just did one iteration of our pattern, 1 regular double crochet, 2 front posts. Let's repeat until we get down to 2 stitches. 1 regular double crochet, 2 front posts. 1, 2. 1 regular double crochet, 2 front posts. 1, 2. 1 regular double crochet, 2 front post double crochets. 1, 2. And remember, I kind of like to stop every once in a while. I'm saying it out loud, but I still like to double check by stopping, making sure that I'm keeping the pattern. Regular, 2 front posts, regular, 2 front posts, regular, 2 front posts, regular, 2 front posts, regular, and 2 front posts. And I know I'm not down to 2 stitches, so I'm going to continue the pattern, 1 regular, and 2 front posts. Okay, and now that I'm down to 2 stitches, I know that I need to do, because I did 2 front posts here, I'm going to end with 2 double crochets, or 2 regular double crochets here. So 1 goes there to kind of keep the pattern, and then in that chain 1, remember, just stick it in the center there, another double crochet. Okay, and you guys, this is our pattern. Okay, so this is how it looks on this side, and then this is how it looks on this side. So this is the more gridded side where you can see a line, and this is the actual waffle side. Okay, I will check back in after I complete this. I've decided that this will be a pot holder, so I'll check back in once I'm done. Alright, this has grown since the last time you saw it. I think I'm going to do 1 more row just to get the desired length that I want, and then we will finish it off, and we'll have a nice little pot holder, and then you can make another one and have a pair. So what I like to do is I like to look at the pattern of the previous row. So I'm about to turn this, so this right now is serving as the previous row. So it was 1 double crochet, 2 front posts, 1 double crochet, 2 front posts, 1 double crochet, 2 front posts. Okay, so that means that when I begin the pattern on the next row, it's going to be 1 front post, 2 double crochet. So just remember that, 1 front post, 2 double crochet. So now I'm going to chain my 1, turn my work, and then put that first double crochet into that first stitch, because that begins every row. And now I'm going to begin the pattern. Remember, it's 1 front post, 2 double crochet, 1 front post, 2 double crochet, 1 1 front post, 2 double crochet, 1 front post, 2 double crochet. Let me adjust this to make sure you guys are getting a good angle. 1 front post, 2 double crochet, 1, 2, 1 front post, 2 double crochet. And remember, we want to keep the pattern. We're down to the last 2 stitches, this double crochet and this chain 1 there. Well, if we were to continue the pattern, that means we would do 1 front post there. So 1 front post, and then the pattern would be 1 double crochet. So remember that you're just going to put that double crochet into that last little chain stitch, and this can be kind of hard to find a place. I like to kind of just stick it in the center. You see that little hole right there? Just stick it in there and make your double crochet. Okay, chain 1, cut your yarn and fasten. Okay, so now you can take your yarning needle, kind of put your yarn through there, so yarn your needle, and then you guys have seen this, I'm sure, many times in other people's videos, even in some of my videos. Just kind of go through the stitches, pulling the yarn through until you feel like you've done a good job of hiding the yarn. Okay, I want to try to take it through one more time. Just kind of through some stitches. I'm kind of indiscriminate. And I don't want to pull too tight to kind of mess up the pattern. So I'll kind of pull back on that a little bit and hold that while I'm pulling through. And you could yarn some more. I mean, you could weave it some more, but I'm just going to cut because that's sufficient to me. And then I'm going to go to the other end here and do the same thing. Kind of yarn my needle. I always say yarn my needle, by the way. People say thread your needle, but since I'm using yarn and not thread, I like to say I'm yarning my needle. And, you know, just go through the very same way. Okay. And, I don't know, get it in there. Not letting it pull too tightly because you don't want to mess up your pattern. And I'll just cut. Okay. So now I have my cool waffle pot holder. Okay. And yeah, guys, this is the waffle stitch. So this is a pot holder, obviously. That's what I'm going to use it for. But you could continue on and on and on, and you could make a scarf like the navy blue one that I showed you at the beginning of this video. But I really like this. And once again, I like this pattern because it has, well, one, it's super textured. The waffle stitch in and of itself is super textured. But I also like this particular waffle pattern because you have the waffle stitch on one side, and then you have, you know, a design of its own right on this side. So if you're wearing your scarf and it's blowing in the wind, you know, regardless of what side it's flopping on, you have a cool design. So, alright guys, I hope you have enjoyed this tutorial. Let me know if you have any questions. Feel free to ask me in the comment section. I will be definitely happy to answer them and help you if you have trouble with this, but I'm sure you guys got it. I will see you in the next video. Happy crocheting!